Discover how a single mom's last coins led to an incredible CEO's life-changing generosity. Lisa sat at the modest dinner table, her gaze fixed on the half-empty plate before her. The soft glow of the overhead light illuminated the tired lines of her face, each wrinkle a testament to the battles fought day after day. Ethan, her 16-year-old son, shuffled through the door, his backpack slung low, a sense of unease settling over both of them. "What's for dinner?" he asked, but the lightness in his voice faded when he saw her expression. She forced a smile, hiding the worry that clawed at her insides. Her wallet held just a shabby handful of coins, less than $1's worth, barely enough to piece together their next meal. "Leftovers from last night, honey," she replied, her voice steady despite the quaking of her heart. She asked him about school, and he recounted stories from the day, his enthusiasm not lost on her, yet layers of concern piled on her shoulders as if weighted by iron. She knew college was just around the corner. Every conversation about applications drew lines of tension in her forehead. She paused often, trying to mask how suffocating the reality had become. They were barely surviving, yet she couldn't let go of the dream that Ethan might soar beyond their small town. Before they continued, "I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With the dawn of the local tech fair looming closer, a mix of hope and pressure danced in her thoughts. Ethan had poured countless hours into a coding project, a shimmer of potential amidst their bleak reality. She wanted to believe it was the ticket to something greater, a chance to paint their lives in brighter colors. Yet, doubts ghosted through her mind, stirring an ache in her chest. Was this pursuit worth the cost? Days bled into nights, and Ethan began working odd jobs after school, his exhaustion evident, yet determination fueling his every step. How could she share with him the fear gnawing at her? What if his dreams crumbled, validating her own insecurities? Her own aspirations had long faded into the back seat, overshadowed by the weight of bills and choices made in desperation. The more she saw the spark in Ethan's eyes when he talked about technology, the deeper her guilt grew. Was she truly doing enough? One evening as they sat beneath the flickering light, Ethan's excitement faded into silence, sensing something heavier in the air. She swallowed hard, the thought of revealing their dire situation tugged painfully at her heart. Could she crush his dreams with the enormity of her struggles? The anguish clawed at her. She felt as though they were teetering on the edge of a cliff. The further they climbed, the easier it would be to fall into despair. Ethan's future loomed like an uncharted abyss, and Lisa grappled with her next move, torn between encouraging his ambitious pursuits and shielding him from their harsh reality. Moments ticked away, each heartbeat a reminder that something necessary, something life-altering was just out of reach. The tension between her love for Ethan and the undeniable burdens she bore pulsated painfully within her, leaving her poised at the brink of a decision that could seal their fates one way or another. The next morning, Lisa's eyes flitted open to the low hum of a neighborhood waking up. Sunlight poured through the thin curtains, casting elongated shadows across the floor. She sat up slowly, her mind racing with the weight of yesterday's unsettled emotions and the unyielding pressure of their financial strain. For a moment, she reveled in the thought of escape, but reality lit the edges of her dreams like a cruel alarm. As she shuffled to the kitchen, a flurry of thoughts cascaded through her mind. The tech fair was only days away. This was Ethan's chance to showcase his project. What if, instead of watching him leap into an uncertain future, she took a step back and found the courage to reclaim her own aspirations? Could she reignite the ambition that had been snuffed out so long ago under the smoke and haze of survival mode? While making coffee, she caught sight of Ethan's laptop sprawled across the table, a world of possibilities buried in its screen. Each keystroke he typed echoed with potential. Lisa recognized that his passion could be contagious. She could channel that energy into something transformative, not only for her son but for herself as well. With renewed determination, she decided to seize the opportunity. She couldn't bear the thought of Ethan carrying the burden of their struggles alone. Perhaps they could tackle challenges together. Could this be the turning point they both desperately needed, a chance for her to step into the light of hope rather than linger in the shadows of doubt? After breakfast, Lisa watched as Ethan prepared for school. He was still in the zone of youthful ignorance, a sweet spot where dreams bloomed untainted. That image tugged at her heart. It was time to let him know that she understood deeply the stakes. They could either succumb to the weight of their worries or rise above them in a quest for something greater. "Ethan, can we talk?" she said, forcing the words past the knot in her throat. "Sure, Mom. What's up?" He looked concerned, and a wave of guilt washed over her. Did he sense her turmoil? "About the tech fair," she started, steadying her voice. "I want you to have the freedom to pursue this project without worry. But I think I need to find my footing too. I want to help you." Ethan's brow furrowed, but a flicker of recognition passed through his eyes. "Help? Like how?" "I have some ideas. We could work together. I could help with research and maybe even promote your project. What do you think?" His hesitation lingered. "But you've been so stressed, Mom. I don't want to add to your workload. I can manage." "Maybe so, but I need this, too. We always talk about you chasing your dreams. I want to chase mine, even if I have to redefine them." The words poured out of her, a tentative yet clear commitment to rediscover herself alongside him. Ethan relaxed, leaning back slightly. "I mean, I'd love that. You could help with the presentation and give me feedback." As they exchanged ideas, something shifted in the room. The air thickened with new potential. It felt as though their burdens hadn't vanished but had instead transformed. Together, they could navigate both the fears of reality and the joys of newfound ambition, yet, beneath the excitement simmered another pang of dread. What if her own journey revealed something about her that she wasn't prepared to face? What if their shared effort led to failure instead of the relief they both craved? As Lisa prepared to embrace this new venture, uncertainty prickled at the edges of her optimism, hinting that darker truths lay ahead. And still, deeper down, something inside her flickered with resolve. The real journey hadn't even begun, and as they crafted plans, little did they know that an unexpected encounter awaited them on the horizon, one that could shift everything once again. Lisa stood at the table, the laptop glowing in front of her, as Ethan's enthusiastic chatter faded into the background. The excitement she felt was tinged with layers of apprehension. Every idea they brainstormed swirled in her mind, each one a potential lifeline she could grasp or a weight that could pull her under. Could she really become more than just a mother navigating daily chaos? Set against the flux of emotion, she tried to sink into that small flicker of resolve within her. She picked up a notepad, the blank pages offering a canvas for her thoughts. She wrote research, goal, promote, and underlined them with a fierce stroke. As if her determination could infuse the ink. Hours passed as they worked together. Ethan's youthful energy countered Lisa's more methodical approach. They shared laughter, frustrations, and small triumphs, gradually weaving their disparate dreams into a shared ambition. With every passing day leading up to the tech fair, she felt the weight of her past pressing down those years spent merely surviving. But now, each hour elbow deep in brainstorming boosted her self-worth. She was beginning to see pieces of herself re-emerging, parts of Lisa that she feared had been buried under obligations and regret. Late one night, fueled by coffee and the anticipation of their project, she browsed through online forums. It was a new world, a community of innovators, dreamers, and creators. Every thread she read crackled with energy, illuminating the path of transformation she yearned for. An idea formed: they needed to share their story, not just the mechanics of the tech. They had to convey a message, a spirit of resilience that could resonate with others. "Mom, are you looking at the design ideas again?" Ethan's voice shattered her concentration. She blinked, realizing she was lost in thought. "Yeah, but it's more than that. I think we need a narrative, something people connect with." He tilted his head, intrigued. "Like our story? How things have been tough but we're pushing through." Lisa smirked, paring down her aspirations to make them relatable. Exactly. We can't just show a project, we have to reveal the heart behind it. But as they strategized, self-doubt crept in. What if revealing their challenges meant putting themselves in the path of judgment? What if their story fell flat? Mom, did you see that community group is holding a meeting tomorrow about pitching ideas? Ethan asked, a subtle eagerness in his voice. Yeah, I saw. Think we should go? The thought stirred a knot in her stomach. It felt risky, stepping into unknown territory. Why not? Maybe we could get some feedback on our presentation. Plus, it'll be good practice. His optimism served as a balm. Taking a deep breath, Lisa nodded. Let us do it. We can prepare before and get the kinks worked out. The next day, they stood outside an unassuming cafe converted into a collaborative workspace. Lisa's heart thudded against her ribcage as Ethan pushed the glass door open. The cozy space buzzed with conversation, a huddle of creativity mingling with vulnerability. As the two found seats at a crowded table, Lisa's palms started to sweat. This was stepping beyond the bounds of their home, beyond familial support. Here, she would face prospective mentors and peers ready to critique their every word. Ethan began to pull up their presentation on his laptop, his fingers flying across the keyboard with excitement. He turned to Lisa, looking for confirmation. She nodded, masks of confidence in place, but her insides twisted. Are you ready for this? He whispered, voice barely audible over the noise. Ready? The question curled inside her, a challenge in itself. She had no clear answer. But just as she opened her mouth, a sharp voice interrupted from across the room. You two look like you have something to prove. Can't wait to see how well you really stand up to the pressure. The words hung in the air, carrying a weight that pressed down on Lisa's resolve. Did they truly have what it took to be heard amidst seasoned voices, as she braced herself for this unexpected confrontation? A larger question struck her, a question that would test every bit of determination she had cultivated. Would she confront the truth of her fears head-on or shrink back into the shadows? The moment of reckoning had arrived, and with it, not just the chance to pitch their tech project but also the opportunity to reclaim her voice in a room poised to listen. Lisa's heart raced as the taunt from across the room reverberated in her mind. Was she truly ready to face this moment? The narrow path she tread felt perilous, yet beneath the layers of doubt, a flicker of anger ignited, stirring something deep within her. She glanced at Ethan, his youthful face animated with anticipation, blissfully unaware of the challenge that lay before them. It was contagious, his confidence chipping away at her uncertainty. In that instant, Lisa made a conscious choice. She would not waver, she would not allow the voices of judgment to encroach upon her newfound purpose. Ethan's fingers danced over the keyboard, and the presentation materialized, each slide showcasing the work they had poured their hearts into. She felt a connection to each bullet point, each image. This wasn't just a tech project, it was the embodiment of their resilient spirit, their story of renewal. Let us practice our pitch, Lisa suggested, her voice steadying as they positioned themselves to rehearse. As they ran through their presentation, Lisa found herself slipping into a rhythm. Her passion surged with each recounting of their struggles, the late nights fueled by coffee, and the moments where they nearly gave up. The narrative they had crafted became more than a story, it transformed into a shared lifeline they could present to an audience that mattered. Just as they finished, the once intimidating voices in the cafe began to shift, morphing from critical observers into potential allies. Lisa noticed nods from nearby tables and even catching a few engaged glances. It felt intoxicating. Maybe, just maybe, she could be more than she ever believed. Mom, Ethan's voice brought her back to the present. You're doing great. They're really listening. His encouragement wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but the earlier taunter lurked in her mind, ready to strike again. What if it's just the surface? What if they're all just being polite? She whispered, more to herself than him. Who cares? We have something real to share. And besides, they can't ignore how hard we've worked. Let us show them, he countered, his youthful idealism cutting through her lingering fears like a sharp knife. They waited as the meeting began, numerous ideas pitched and critiqued, each session crafting an atmosphere of growth amidst constructive feedback. Lisa absorbed every comment, the barbs of criticism sharpening her resolve. The weight of her past years of silence, confinement was transforming into a powerful motivation driving her forward. Then it was their turn. Lisa felt her stomach lurch as she took a step forward, Ethan following closely beside her. The eyes of the room settled on them, their expectations heavy. This was their moment, the culmination of countless struggles and aspirations wrapped in a few minutes of exposure. "Hello everyone, I'm Lisa, and this is my son, Ethan," she began, her voice surprisingly firm. "We're here to share not just our tech project but the journey that brought us here." With every word that poured from her mouth, the past that haunted her began to dissipate. They spoke passionately about what inspired their project and how it symbolized their shared commitment to overcoming obstacles. Lisa expertly wove their personal narrative into the technical details, making the audience see more than numbers and graphs. It became a reflection of their spirit, of resilience, of a battle fought together. As they finished, applause echoed around them, a sound both foreign and exhilarating. Yet amidst the approval, a shadow flickered at the edge of Lisa's mind. She glanced across the room, locking eyes with the skeptic who had cast doubt moments earlier. But instead of deflating her, something shifted. Resistance transformed into a challenge, igniting in her that familiar spark she had felt all those nights before. Was this what reclaiming her voice truly meant? As questions came flooding in, Lisa engaged with confidence. This space wasn't simply a test, it was an arena where she could explore her capabilities. Each question became an opportunity to delve deeper into their vision, to unfold layers of potential she hadn't recognized until now. Later, as they settled back at their table, exhilaration coursed through her veins. But the specter of self-doubt still cast a shadow. They had come so far, yet were they truly prepared for the next step? A new thought sprouted in Lisa's mind: what lay beyond this pitch, beyond the approval of strangers? "Mom, did you see how interested everyone was?" Ethan beamed, oblivious to her lingering fears. "Yeah, I did," she replied, savoring the pride swelling in her chest. Yet, just as satisfaction began to settle, a more profound realization washed over her. Confronting the doubts of both herself and others was merely the beginning. As they gathered their things to leave, Lisa took in a deep, fortifying breath. The voice that had so long been muffled was beginning to rise from the depths of her spirit. And with that, she couldn't help but contemplate one important question: where would this newfound path of discovery lead her next? The following morning, a weight of anticipation hung over Lisa like an impending storm. The applause had faded, but the exhilaration lingered in her veins, charging her with an unexpected urgency. She pulled the curtains apart and let the sun pour into her kitchen, its light illuminating a space that felt both familiar and strange. Raindrops danced against the window, creating a rhythmic soundtrack that matched the rapid pace of her thoughts. "What's next?" she whispered to herself, pouring coffee into her favorite mug. It seemed like a simple question, yet it reverberated with complexity. She needed clarity, a way to navigate the shift in her identity that had begun with their presentation. What would she do with this renewed sense of self? Ethan wandered into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes, and broke her reverie. "What's on the agenda today?" he asked. His innocent curiosity grounded her, pulling her back from the cliffs of worry. "Let's start with this," she replied, setting her mug down as she grabbed their project notes. "We'll review the feedback we received." As she flipped through the pages, she found a flutter of enthusiasm igniting within her. Maybe today wasn't about what others expected but about setting the course for their dreams based on that feedback. They spent the morning dissecting suggestions, brainstorming improvements, and conceptualizing the next steps. As the hours passed, Lisa noticed something profound sprouting within her. She was starting to lead. Where earlier she had merely assisted, she now navigated discussions with the conviction of someone who had earned every bit of their rightful seat at the table. The fear of inadequacy that had entwined itself around her psyche began to loosen its grip. By early afternoon, a message pinged on her phone. It was a notification from the platform where they had pitched their idea, announcing an exclusive mentorship opportunity for emerging entrepreneurs. Lisa's heart raced at the thought of it. Was this the leap she had been searching for? Her fingers danced hesitantly over the screen, hesitant to fully embrace the prospect. What if I'm not ready for that? She murmured aloud, pulling her gaze away from the glowing screen as doubt crawled back in. Ethan looked up from his own work, where he meticulously organized ideas and sketches for their project. Mom, you're the one who got us here. You have so many ideas. Don't you think you're ready? His unfiltered belief recorded a pang of guilt. It had become so easy to imbue him with confidence while neglecting to extend that same belief to herself. How could she inspire him if she couldn't recognize her own worth? Over the next hour, she wrestled with both her mobile device and her feelings. Each scroll, each word on the screen, pulled her into a reality where her capabilities were at the forefront rather than her insecurities. Lisa kept revisiting the skepticism she sensed during their pitch. She could almost hear the challenge echoing in her mind, demanding not just to face it but to conquer it. With steadfast determination, she pressed the apply button. The decision felt like a firm declaration to the universe, a commitment to herself and to the journey of growth she had embarked upon. Relinquishing the weight of past defeats, once again, her focus shifted to her son. In the past, their lives had been tethered by constraints, reeling under pressures bigger than themselves. Ethan, why do you think we should keep pushing on with this project? With a glimmer in his eyes, he replied, because it matters. It's not just about the idea, it's about what we can do with it. It's about us. Her heart swelled, each beat resonating with pride. They were in this together, forging a bond that extended beyond their familial ties. A realization settled deep inside her: their work wasn't simply about creating a successful venture, it was an exploration of freedom, potential, and the possibility of change. Just then, another notification chimed, tearing her thoughts back to the present. It was from an unexpected connection she had made after their pitch, someone from the tech community. The message suggested a potential collaboration, an invitation to discuss their ideas further. Could this be the break she didn't know she needed? With her mind racing and her heart pounding, Lisa felt another flicker of a challenge igniting within. This was more than a project now, it was a chance to build a legacy. But as she prepared to respond, a sense of foreboding washed over her. What if this opportunity meant facing not only the skeptics but also the self-doubt that threatened to unravel her hard-earned progress? She took a deep breath, contemplating the path ahead. Would she embrace the potential for growth, or would she retreat into the safety of familiarity? The moment before her was charged with tension, palpable and electric. What decision would she make next, and how would it impact not just her future but Ethan's as well? Lisa sat at the edge of her seat, her fingers hovering over the phone, the weight of her indecision pressing heavily against her chest. She had initiated a journey that demanded concrete actions, yet hesitation clung to her like a shadow. The invitation before her was a portal to something greater, a glimpse of the potential that lay beyond the struggles she had thus far endured. What if she took a step into the unknown? The thought was invigorating yet unsettling. Was she truly ready to leap? Breaking free of the fear that had long shackled her was becoming increasingly crucial, and yet the instinct to retreat whispered seductively in her ear. Mom. Ethan's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts, pulling her back from her reverie. Are you okay? She met his concerned gaze, the reflection of his innocent trust, a reminder that she needed to rise not only for herself but for him as well. Yeah, it's just, this opportunity, she explained, gesturing toward the message on her screen. I feel like I'm on the verge of something big, but I'm also terrified. Ethan, in his youthful wisdom, nodded as if he understood the intricacies of the adult world better than most. If you think it matters, you should do it. His words were simple, yet they resonated with profound clarity. What was it that mattered most to her? It was more than the project or potential collaborations, it was about envisioning the future they could build together. Lisa leaned forward, determination igniting her resolve. She batted away her insecurities like pesky flies. The momentum she had begun to harness was going to dissipate so easily. With shaking hands, she started typing. Each word was a small act of rebellion against the doubts that threatened to overtake her. "I would love to discuss this further," she wrote, and with a decisive tap, hit send. Just like that, she had taken ownership of her ambitions. As her heartbeat stabilized, a new wave of inquiry surged within her. This could lead to many forks in the road, connections to explore, ideas to develop, paths she had never considered. But it was also a magnifying glass on her insecurities. Would she find support, or would she be met with skepticism? Focusing back on her laptop, Lisa scrolled through more details about the mentorship program. The prospect of guidance rattled her with both excitement and trepidation. In her gut, a question simmered: was she prepared to let someone into her sphere of vulnerability? The late afternoon sun cast warm rays through the window, illuminating the space around her, yet she felt a chill creep into her bones. The responsibility weighed heavily, yet this responsibility had shifted. It wasn't just about creating a product anymore, this was about real lives affected by their work, including Ethan's. That he was watching her intently, and a thought crystallized in her mind: if she could demonstrate courage, perhaps he would find strength within himself too. The duality of their relationship was beginning to deepen, not only mother and son but partners embarking on an expedition of discovery and growth. With a conscious inhale, Lisa resolved to push past her fears. She would research potential collaborators, seek connections, and put herself out there. Existing merely on the fringes of her professional landscape was no longer an option. The competitive fire ignited within her. It was time to assert herself confidently in spaces that might have initially felt alien. As night began to settle, bathing the kitchen in a soft glow, she drew out a notebook and wrote contacts at the top of a fresh page. Each name would represent a step forward, an opportunity, a potential ally in her quest. Just as she organized her thoughts, a new notification flashed on her phone: a response from the tech community member she had messaged. An invitation for a meetup was on the table, a face-to-face discussion where she would present her ideas. The magnitude of the moment surged through her. "Ethan, we're officially meeting someone," she exclaimed, her voice brimming with a newfound confidence. "This could really be it." His eyes sparkled back at her. "I knew you'd do it, Mom." She shared his enthusiasm, but the doubts lingered like uninvited guests. What if she stumbled? What if she failed to articulate her vision clearly? Yet within the darkness of uncertainty lay the promise of growth. The moment was drawing near, the clarity of their purpose now hung in the balance. Would she be able to rise to the occasion, harness her newfound resolve, and embrace vulnerability as a pathway to success? The answer would lie just around the corner, awaiting her first move into the exhilarating unknown. Lisa's heart raced as she sat at the cafe, a venue she had chosen deliberately busy enough to feel inspired, yet intimate enough to quell her nerves. The soft hum of conversation surrounded her, but each word faded into the background. Her focus remained fixated on the door. The past week had swirled with anxious preparation, crafting her pitch, rehearsing in the mirror, and refining her ideas until they gleamed like precious gems. Every glance at the clock tightened the knot in her stomach. What if she failed to connect with the person across the table? What if the insights she'd prepared were met with indifference or, worse, scorn? Yet, amidst all this turmoil, there existed an ember of anticipation fueled by the thought of possibility. When the door swung open, she straightened in her seat, recognizing the figure stepping through. A man in his 40s, with an easy smile and an aura of confidence, walked over to her. "Lisa. I'm Jake. Pleasure to meet you." With a firm handshake, she felt her resolve harden. "Thanks for meeting with me," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. They settled into casual conversation, and she quickly realized Jake's warmth eased her tension. He was personable, genuinely engaged, and as they discussed his background in the tech world, she sensed an openness in him. Yet, just as she began to relax, the gravity of her responsibility struck her again. She had come here not just hoping to make a connection but to advocate for herself, to stake her claim in a landscape that felt hostile and foreign. "So, what do you have in mind?" Jake prompted, leaning forward. The words surged from her articulate, confident, unmistakably hers. I believe in creating tech that empowers single parents like me, she asserted, ready to share her vision. There's a lack of resources tailored to our specific needs, and I want to change that. I want to develop an app that would provide support, budgeting tools, and community connections tailored to us. With each line, she could feel her passion bubbling to the surface, the years of experience and emotion backing her vision. The slight shift in Jake's expression suggested he was listening deeply, and with it, Lisa's confidence grew. But then came the inevitable question. What is your plan for funding? She had anticipated this challenge, jotting down potential paths during her brainstorming sessions. I've looked into various avenues, including grants specifically for tech startups focused on social impact. And I'm open to discussing partnerships that could be mutually beneficial. Jake leaned back slightly, a thoughtful look on his face. The weight of his scrutiny sent her breath hitching, a collision of hope and doubt erupting within her. This didn't merely rest on the success of the app, it rested on her credibility, her ability to transform dreams into reality. You're clearly passionate, but executing this will require more than enthusiasm. What makes you think you can pull it off? His question throbbed with skepticism, yet Lisa caught glimpses of genuine curiosity in his tone. In that moment, rather than retreating, she remembered the power of her journey, the late nights, the sacrifices, the vision unwavering in the face of adversity. I've faced challenges that have tested my resolve every day, she replied, her voice now steady. I'm not merely selling an idea, I'm sharing my life, my experiences, and the realities of those who walk this path with me. I speak from that place of truth. As her words hung in the air, Lisa saw an intentional nod from Jake. There was respect blossoming in those expressive eyes. All right. I appreciate the authenticity. The conversation flowed as Lisa navigated through her plans, ignited by the rhythm of enthusiasm and purpose. Each answer unearthed layers of confidence she had yet to realize existed within her. This was not just about proving her dream, it was about disarming her fears and standing firmly in her truth, but as they neared the end of their meeting, the shadows of doubt crept back. Would this lead to something tangible, or would it slip away like so many opportunities before? Would she continue this trajectory, or was she destined to retreat into the comfortable realm of what she knew? With a hint of vulnerability woven into her defiance, she met Jake's gaze directly. What would my next steps be if you were to support this vision? What do you expect from me? A pause hung in the air, and for a fleeting moment, hope flickered in her chest. The response would dictate the path ahead, one fraught with the potential for growth or the crushing weight of disappointment. She leaned in, awaiting his reply, the defining moment of her fate poised on the verge of becoming clear. Would she finally grasp hold of the life she envisioned, or would she falter when it mattered most? The answer loomed just beyond the edge of recognition, and Lisa's heart raced in anticipation for what was to come. A silence settled between them, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Jake's thoughtful gaze weighed on her, foreboding yet exciting. It was a moment of reckoning, she had laid her heart out on the table, and now it was time for the verdict. I want you to develop a detailed business plan, he finally said, his tone measured. Show me your market research, define your audience, and have a clear strategy for how you'll reach them. I need to see that you can translate this vision into something actionable. You need to convince not just me but anyone who may join this journey with you. Lisa nodded, but inside her, a whirlwind of emotions collided. She felt a surge of empowerment, this was a chance to turn ideas into reality. Yet, a flicker of doubt shadowed her excitement. Could she deliver on such ambitious demands? Absolutely, she replied, her voice reflecting an undertow of determination. I can do that. As they wrapped up the meeting, Lisa felt the weight of the challenge ahead settle onto her shoulders. The cafe, once a sanctuary, now seemed alive with reminders of her fears and aspirations. She bid Jake goodbye, the parting filled with hope, but the thrill was laced with trepidation, the train ride home felt surreal. Each jolt of the carriage was a reminder of her new trajectory. She had cleared a significant hurdle, but now she understood the toughest mountains were yet to climb. How was she to transform scattered thoughts and dreams into solid plans? With a surge of ambition, she pulled out her notebook, flipping the pages filled with hastily written notes and half-formed ideas. At home, the familiar chaos of single motherhood greeted her. Her toddler's laughter broke through her concentration as she entered their small apartment. Balancing the demands of a child and the needs of her growing ambitions felt like an almost insurmountable task. She was both exhilarated and terrified. Over the next few days, Lisa poured herself into her business plan. Each morning began with a fierce determination, the coffee brewed, filling the air with a sense of urgency. She scoured the internet for information, attending webinars, and dug through countless articles about successful startups funded through social impact grants. As she researched the landscape, doubts would gnaw at her. What if she failed? The fear echoed loudly, but Lisa fought back. She used it as fuel, chipping away at her insecurities with each task she completed. She began compiling her audience research. Lisa started reaching out to single parents, collecting testimonials and insights that shaped her vision. Every conversation unraveled layers of understanding, reinforcing her belief that she was onto something meaningful. Their stories moved her, reminding her of why she started this venture in the first place. Yet, each night, as silence enveloped her home, a sliver of unease crept in. Was she ready to showcase her plan? The prospect of being scrutinized, judged for her ideas or perceived lack of expertise clouded her confidence. Success felt daunting, but failure weighed even heavier. In those vulnerable moments, she sought solace in her son's laughter, finding clarity in the way he viewed the world, one filled with magic and endless possibilities. "I'm doing this for you," she would whisper to herself, drawing comfort from the love that anchored her as she worked late into the night with determination surging through her veins. The deadline for her presentation loomed closer. Each day was a test of her commitment, stretching her beyond what she believed she was capable of. The culmination of her efforts reflected far more than a business plan. It represented her growth, her transformation from uncertainty into fierce resolve. As she finalized her presentation, a thought gnawed at her relentlessly. What if Jake's response led to doors closing rather than opening? Perhaps apprehension was only a step away from revelation. But now, she needed one more ingredient, a break from the monotony of her self-imposed seclusion. With a newfound sense of urgency, she decided to seek out a mentor who could guide her through the next steps. Reaching out was daunting, yet she saw it as crucial for her evolution. Her desire for growth transcended the common fears entwined in human connection. As Lisa clicked "Send" on her request for mentorship, the finality of her action struck her. This decision was pivotal. She was taking ownership of her trajectory. It would signal whether she truly believed in her project's potential and in herself. But what if the reply brought her closer to the allies she so desperately sought, or if it opened a door she didn't expect? Would she embrace the opportunities that lay beyond, or buckle under the weight of immense expectations? Darkness began to settle in her room as she waited anxiously for a response, the air thick with anticipation. In that moment of quiet, hope battled against anxiety for supremacy, and she braced herself for the possibilities. The question hung like a weight in the stillness: was she prepared for what lay on the other side of her request? The answer could alter the course of her journey entirely, propelling her forward or setting her back into the shadows of self-doubt. The following days dragged on, each moment laden with tension as Lisa waited for a reply. The stillness felt oppressive. Thoughts of inadequacy crept back like intruders in the night. What if nothing came through? What if her outreach shattered her already fragile confidence? As she busied herself with her son during the day, those fears were dulled by the joys of motherhood. Each laugh, each small triumph of his, filled her with fleeting joy, yet they couldn't erase the perpetual knot of anxiety tightening within her. She was on the brink of redefining her life, but the stakes felt impossibly high. Then, a notification broke the silence. Her heart raced as she grabbed her phone, a surge of adrenaline propelling her forward. With trembling fingers, she opened the email. The initial read sent waves of disbelief washing over her. It was an invitation to meet a reputable mentor in the industry, someone renowned for guiding fledgling entrepreneurs. Relief flooded her, quickly followed by a sense of responsibility. She would need to make a favorable impression. Preparing for the meeting ignited a fire inside her. Lisa dove deep into research about her potential mentor, analyzing their past successes and discovering commonalities that she could leverage in conversation. Each fact she gleaned fortified her belief that she deserved this opportunity. She was beginning to discover a newfound confidence. She had experiences to share, ideas worth discussing, and passion that could not be denied. The day of the meeting arrived, and while her son was with his grandmother, a reminder of her dual life, Lisa stood before the mirror, adjusting her blazer. She couldn't ignore the insecurities bubbling beneath her polished exterior. This was more than just a meeting, it was a moment where she would face her demons head-on. As she stepped into the bustling cafe where the meeting was set, the cacophony of voices mingled with her elevated heartbeat. She spotted her mentor at a corner table, an air of confidence surrounding him. Taking a deep breath, she approached him, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Just as she was about to introduce herself, his gaze met hers. "Lisa," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard great things from your message. Let us talk about your vision." The instant warmth of his greeting eased her nerves, igniting a spark of dialogue that flowed organically. They discussed ideas, market trends, and the unique challenges of single parenthood, which he seemed to understand deeply. It was liberating. She could be vulnerable without the fear of judgment. Halfway through, he leaned in. "You have a great vision, but there's one thing you'll need to confront," he said, his tone shifting. "Don't let the fear of failure paralyze you. Embrace what you don't know, it's a part of your journey." His words resonated. She had spent so much time worrying about rejection that she had nearly overlooked the importance of growth through experience. His encouragement nudged her towards a pivotal revelation: success was not a destination, it was an evolving path defined by resilience. As they wrapped up, he encouraged her to stay in touch and mentioned possible funding avenues. Joy surged within her, a feeling so unfamiliar yet invigorating. This was just the beginning, she felt like a spark igniting. Returning home was electric. Nurturing her son's laughter felt euphoric. Every little thing reminded her that she was not just a mother but an ambitious entrepreneur. The foundation laid during her meeting propelled her into a mindset of action. That evening, she spoke aloud to herself as she typed notes from their discussion. "You are ready," she reminded her reflection in the screen. "Transform that fear into actionable steps." Lisa compiled a list of what needed to be done next, further refining her pitch, developing financial projections, and mapping out her marketing tactics. Suddenly, the weight of her previous anxieties felt lighter. She was equipped with knowledge and guidance, a network beginning to form around her. But as she sat with her notebook, ready to tackle the next stage of her business plan, a sobering thought crossed her mind: what if she failed to capitalize on this momentum? The vision she held was unlike any she had dared to embrace before, and with every ounce of determination swelling inside her, she knew her next steps could shape everything. The stakes were higher now, and the reality of potential setbacks lurked nearby. What if her aspirations didn't align with future opportunities? Would she bravely adapt, or fearfully retreat? This confluence of hope and fear ignited new possibilities, but it all hinged on her next move. Lisa shut her notebook with resolve. She was at a crucial inflection point in her quest for ownership and fulfillment. The path stretched ahead of her, tantalizing yet fraught with uncertainty. She needed to find clarity and direction, as the choices she made in the coming days could revolutionize her life. With growing intensity, she questioned her journey: would she seize the opportunities before her boldly, or let the fear of failure guide her choices into retreat? Time loomed ahead, and she could feel the weight of decisions urging her onward. As days turned into weeks, Lisa found herself immersed in a whirlwind of possibilities. Each morning began with her grappling against the lingering shadows of self-doubt, yet every step forward defined her evolution from a timid mother to a burgeoning entrepreneur. Every night, the echoes of her mentor's wise words ricocheted in her mind: embrace what you don't know. With that mantra in tow, the trepidation that had clung to her began to wane. The looming deadline for her business plan became a rallying point. Organizing her research honed not only her ideas but also solidified her resolve. The process of constructing her pitch was unlike any task she had faced before. It transformed from a chore into a passion project alive with passion and purpose. Every slide she crafted was infused with stories and statistics meant to uplift those in similar circumstances. As Lisa pieced together her plan, she could see it clearly not as a mere document, but as her lifeline, a blueprint for change both for herself and all single parents like her. As the date of her presentation loomed nearer, a curious dichotomy emerged within her. Excitement danced alongside anxiety. This wasn't just an opportunity to present her business plan to investors, it had morphed into a chance to advocate for a marginalized group and reveal her true self. Each late-night session ignited flickers of confidence that chipped away at the armor of self-doubt constructed over the years. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. Lisa stood in front of a small audience of potential investors and mentors, her heart racing yet steadying with purpose. She began with the story of her journey, articulating the struggles of single parenthood and the subsequent epiphany that had led her to develop an app tailored to their needs. The narratives flowed like a current, evoking empathy and understanding, which prepared her audience to envision not just an idea, but a movement. As Lisa delved deeper into her business plan, numbers and projections seamlessly joined her compelling narrative. She deftly illustrated how the app would not only empower individuals but also foster communal connections. Her dedication sparked interest. For the first time, she saw heads nodding in agreement and eyes glinting with anticipation. The doubts that had once paralyzed her began to evaporate in the warmth of support from the room. When, finally, her presentation ended, applause erupted around her, a thunderous confirmation of the journey she had undertaken. The fidgeting fingers of worry had transformed into assertive handshakes of acceptance. As she stepped down from that impromptu stage, Lisa couldn't help but feel the weight of her earlier fears dissipate. Someone in the audience, a seasoned entrepreneur, approached her with a smile. "This is powerful work you're doing. I'd love to connect you with some resources." This supportive gesture was the recognition Lisa had longed for, and it signaled an undeniable transformation. The deep-seated anxiety had been replaced by a palpable sense of achievement. She had not just pitched a business plan, she had advocated for herself and a community. Weeks later, sitting in her now vibrant kitchen, Lisa marveled at her blossoming journey. The app was on its way to becoming a reality. Her first round of funding had come through due to that initial presentation, and the connections she made at the event opened doors she hadn't imagined. But beyond mere success, what struck her the most was the reflected pride she saw in Ethan's eyes. They had both embarked on a journey of discovery, with his dreams racing parallel to hers. "Mom, you're really doing this," he said one evening, barely able to contain his excitement. "Together, we're doing this," she reminded him, realizing that the dream of something greater had become a shared legacy rather than a solitary pursuit. Lisa felt a profound sense of fulfillment settled within her, a confidence born from the mastery of challenges faced and conquered. They had shifted from survival to thriving, together crafting a future defined by resilience. With every passing day, Lisa encountered not just her own growth but visible signs of strength in Ethan as well. He flourished in his coding project, stimulated by the understanding that dreams require work and tenacity to flourish. Together, they celebrated milestones, small and great, marked by unwavering support forged through their shared trials. This chapter of her life brimmed with potential, leaving Lisa ready for whatever came next, a recognition not of what she could lose, but of all she had achieved against the backdrop of adversity. The dream extended beyond the app. It became about the unwavering belief in her capabilities, a force that now surged with clarity and ambition. As the sun set beyond the horizon, casting warm hues across their modest kitchen, Lisa found herself reflecting on a single underlying truth: she had undergone a transformation that reshaped not only her identity but opened pathways for many others yet to come. This was no longer about just surviving. This was about living fully, boldly, and with purpose. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive emotional stories that inspire profound change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these transformative tales alive. Comment your reactions and theories about this incredible journey, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for empowering stories.